hopefully. Good evening, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to Splendid Isolation History number 61. And this evening we're going to be talking about Hope Not Hate. People who follow this channel, and some of you do, may recall that a few months ago we did the Fabian Society. So this is another one in that kind of line of an investigation into very left-wing, largely anti-British organisations. And Hope Not Hate is going to fall into that one pretty accurately, I think. As always, I'm going to start us off with a tune to give people time to join the stream.
Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile, to serve your captives' need. To wait in heavy harness on flooded folk and wall. Your new gods sullen peoples have devil and have child. Take up the white man's burden, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, 100 times made vain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. Fill full the mouth of famine and bid the sickness cease. And when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought, what's love and heed and folly, bring all your hopes to naught. Take up the white man's burden, no tawdry rule of kings, but toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. The ports ye shall not enter, the roads ye shall not tread. Go make them with your living and mark them with your dead. Take up the white man's burden and reap his old reward. The blame of those ye better, the hate of those ye guard. The cry of those ye humor are slowly towards the light. Why brought ye us from bondage, a loved Egyptian night? Take up the white man's burden, ye dare not stoop to less, nor call too loud on freedom to cloak your weariness. By all ye cry or whisper, by all ye leave or do, the silent, sullen people shall weigh your gods and you. Take up the white man's burden, have done with childish days, the lightly proffered laurel, the easy
That was, of course, the excellent Chris Gard. If you like good music, do go and check Mr. Gard's channel out on YouTube. He's got some really good music there, and it's mostly original stuff, and he's a genuine musician. So there you go. Okay, well, this stream was Ataman's suggestion. I'm always looking for people in my Discord to give me suggestions for history streams. And as I said before our intro music, we did the Fabian Society a few months ago with Aaron Hook, amongst other people. And when Ataman suggested this, I thought this would be a good one to do. And in particular, of course, there was some controversy around Hope Not Hate recently, because they used to have a really pretty nasty page on their website about the little old lady who got smashed over there with a hammer several times by a lefty. And of course, they quickly took that down, but it was there. And without any doubt, it was encouraging that sort of thing. You know. So, yeah, Ataman, it's your stream, so I'm gonna let you take this one away.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, well, I mean, where to start? I mean, the thing about Hope Not Hate, I think we talked on the main Splendid Isolation stream. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, and someone said, like, I think someone had said in the chat, they were like, what's the like closest American equivalent?
Yeah, a good point. I was just going to ask you that, because I know some of our American viewers will be wondering that.
Well, yeah, and it's. I think in the end we were like, oh well, it's got to be like the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, Hope Not Hate only really operates like one arm of the SPLC. In fact, I think if we were to just do a history stream focused explicitly on Hope Not Hate as an organization, it'd be a very short stream because they haven't actually been around that long. But they're kind of they're like a modern rebirth of the Searchlight. It's kind of like the Hydra. You know, you cut a head off, and
I think I did some research for this stream, obviously, and they certainly they talk about obviously anti-immigration stuff. They talk about anti-Muslim stuff, but they also talk about anti-Semitism quite a lot. They go on about anti-trans stuff and anti-homosexual stuff, needless to say. So you know they do. They're quite similar. You could almost call them a British version of the Southern Poverty Law Centre type people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the thing is, I mean, I don't know if this is also a good comparison to the SPLC, but like, if you look at either Searchlight or Hope Not Hate, or any of these other smaller sister organizations like 38 Degrees and stuff like that, they're all full of people that either are still or were like ardent communists.
Yes.
The whole thing. Oh, we're just against fascism, and of course they just endlessly muddy the water between the two. But of course, when you dig into it, like Matthew Collins, a character we'll get into quite a bit later, there's obviously that infamous scene of him standing in front of a Soviet flag, going to the audience, "You're our Red Army." It's
they're very fast and loose with who they call fascists, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they call us fascists, and I'm certainly not. And so far as I'm aware, and I've known you quite a few years now, Hammond, I don't think you're a fascist either. So
Well, yeah, and there's a bit. I mean, again, the Matthew Collins thing will come up in this regard later because he is an interesting character. But if we go back to like the original founder of Searchlight, who obviously also played a large part in founding Hope Not Hate, Jerry Gable. I think he had an Anglican father and a Jewish mother. I don't know to what extent that matrilineal descent thing really plays a role, but he does describe himself as Jewish. Which, I mean, you were saying about them being against anti-Semitism. There's actually a weird through line where lots of them attempt to be like very, very sort of like pro-Palestine. But then like Nick Lowles, who's the explicit founder and CEO of Hope Not Hate, is actually is part of some like pro-Zionist left-wing group. It's very weird, but we'll get
he's been counseled by the National Union of Students for being anti-Muslim, I believe.
Yeah.
So and of course with the Jewish religion, it does go through the matriarchal line, I believe.
Yeah. So it's like, you got this guy Jerry Gable, the original founder. He's in like youth communist leagues and stuff like that, and he was an explicit member of the Communist Party of Great Britain. And he founds Searchlight in the mid-60s. In fact, funny enough, I mean, when I was looking into it, he was involved in the burglary of David Irving's home in the early 60s, which was I couldn't find much on it, but that's a very, very bizarre thing. They apparently used a telephone engineer's pass to get into his apartment building, and then burgled his flat.
A historian, right? Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, Jerry, there was other people there, but Jerry Gable got fined, I think £25, which in the early 60s is
that would have been a week's wages back then for sure.
Yeah. And so he founds Searchlight. I actually got one of their first covers from their first magazine print, which was actually released about 10 years later. It is small, which is a shame. But I'll just post that up in the thing. I don't know how tiny this is going to come up because it's quite a small image. Oh, it comes up quite large. Okay. So this is from 1975. They had this sort of print magazine. And it's hard to find copies still around. Like we're quite lucky on the right. We've got like people like UKIPper and that who are like historians of like old right-wing literature.
Would I be right in saying, Adam, that the chap on the cover, given he's got a British flag, is supposed to be a bad guy?
Yeah, supposed to be. I mean, they do such a good job of making us look extremely based, like all the time.
I just don't get this. You're supposed to be British, and you publish a picture of a guy with a Union Jack. And the first thing I think when I see a guy with a Union Jack is patriot. I mean,
Yeah, and of course it's subtitled with the English translation of an anti-fascist phrase from the Spanish Civil War. There's this thing where like sometimes I'll talk to like more dissident leftists, and I'll have a little bit of a sort of almost a sympathy towards them, where I'm like, we're kind of dissidents on the same, but just on different sides, as it were. And you kind of want to sit there and think, these guys are from a tradition of their own, a political, but at the same time, they're kind of not. A lot of this stuff is very imported. They bang on about the right being made up of imported American culture war slop, but it is basically it is true of them generally. They do this sort of stuff all the time.
But it's not true of us. I mean, for God's sake, how many years have we been doing this stuff now, Adam?
Yeah.
And I mean, half the people in the Discord are pretty anti-American for the most part. Yeah. So
yeah, and it's like there was another cover I had. I think I will just post this one up as well. This is a slightly later one. This is obviously of Mosley. Since I brought up about imported stuff, you could say that there's some importation by this, but I don't know how big this one will show up either. Yes, obviously they've got Mosley on the front. Same year, later issue. Defend democracy. This is the sort of thing they used to put out there. And Searchlight.
And of course, this was the 1960s, yes, Adam?
This one's 1975.
Well, there you go. And the picture is from pre-World War II. So, I mean, okay. Very relevant. So Jerry Gable, this was the outlet he ran, the anti-fascist Searchlight magazine. Jerry Gable was born in, I think, 1937. He has passed away. Party more often than not. It's one of those sorts of weird things. It's kind of like Jeremy Corbyn, where Jeremy Corbyn was sort of a while he was like
a prominent Labour MP. He was like going and giving talks at the Communist Party of Great Britain.
Well, back in the 60s, for example, and the 50s, indeed, there were plenty of communist members of the Labour Party, really.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them would have denied it and some wouldn't have, but there certainly were.
Yeah.
Woolly Mammoth in the chat is asking us if we think that Britain was the first anti-white country. And no, not at all, actually.
That probably would be the French, I think.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you look at the French, the Marquis, the resistance during World War II, most of them were communists.
Yeah, and of course, like, you know, to a large extent, the French Revolution was kind of just upstream of anti-whiteism, really.
Yeah, and go back to the Paris Commune in 1871. Same thing, the proto-communists, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, and the thing is, if you were to look at explicitly the Anglosphere, I do think that, I mean, obviously we do a lot of anti-Americanism on this stream, but I do think America falls into that camp. I mean, even like one of the things I found out just in the last year that really kind of like really boggled the mind slightly was that like people in the American government, when they inducted Hawaii as a state, were explicitly claiming that they were doing it with the aims of producing the first non-white senator. Which just
doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest.
But yeah, just bizarre, really bizarre. But yeah,
I mean, look at the aid that the Americans gave a lot of aid to Lenin and Stalin in the early days. You know, including Henry bloody Ford of all people.
Yeah.
You know, they were teaching them mass production methods and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And when you come to FDR during World War II, he was absolutely much keener on Joseph Stalin than he was on Winston Churchill. Much keener. They were much better friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and but yeah, I mean, to go back to Jerry Gable and Searchlight magazine, so I mean, there is this weird thing when you look into it that there's like a real disconnect, like the old, like, because presumably, I mean, Jerry Gable wasn't making this all by himself. There was a team of people with him back during the Searchlight days, and yet Jerry Gable seems to be the only one that sort of came through the other side of like the 80s and 90s, which is something I could never quite piece together. It seems like sort of from the 80s onwards, he basically constructs a whole new crew, which is what goes forward, of course, when they go into these later organizations. Even, I mean, Jerry Gable even had connections to like Private Eye. You know, there was even an extent where, I mean, this isn't strictly listed to Gable, but Gable was sort of in the know with a guy who was the editor for the Mirror, who was also working for Private Eye. But there was a case.
It's worth pointing out, Armand, that many of the people involved in Hope Not Hate are so-called former journalists who worked in the British mainstream media, including a lot of TV channels and stuff like this, and they have used this to help dox many people on the right, for example.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at a little bit later on. We'll look at some State of Hate reports. And what they were like when Hope Not Hate was first coming on the scene to what they're like more recently. And you will kind of see how they had aspirations to be something, but then they just decided that, yeah, we are actually just journalists at the end of the day. We're just gonna do journalism. But you know, which is like low rent, like narrative building. But yeah, I mean, there was even a story which was part of the link to Jerry Gable and the Private Eye, where in, I think it was the late 80s, there was a claim that Private Eye made that this soldier in the British Army was going to abduct and murder Jerry Gable, and basically made him out to be this poor innocent victim. And obviously the soldier involved, who I suppose was completely innocent.
Sounds very unlikely to me, I've got to say.
And they
having
sued the
been a
Private
British soldier, I just don't believe it.
Yeah, it seems patently absurd. But yeah, the soldier, of course, sued the Private Eye. And I didn't find out exactly how much he was awarded. The newspaper, which I think was the Evening Standard, which covered it, said he was awarded a substantial amount of money, but that's about as far as I could find.
So to keep it quiet and not go to court because they knew they would have lost.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this kind of takes us up. If we move forward a little bit to like let's say the 80s, or specifically the late 80s. So you get this guy Matthew Collins, who comes on the scene. I assume that Nick Lyles is already involved by that point, but Nick Lyles' past is kind of obscure in a lot of ways. To be honest, so is this gentleman Matthew Collins. He's the one who stood in front of the Soviet flag and was saying, you are Red Army and all that stuff. He claims to have been formerly, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure he was, but his claim is that he was formerly a member of like National Front or some organization. It might be in Combat 88, one of these organizations. He claims to be a far right thug. In fact, I'll bring up this little.
But was he actually a member, or was he an infiltrator?
Well, yeah,
that's the question.
Yeah, we don't really know. Let me just see if I can find this. I had some picture, but I think I might have misplaced it. But he essentially, he's a very odd fellow in that he, for some reason I can see it, but I can't put it on stream. So he's a bit of an odd fellow in that he oh, hang on. He doesn't seem to. Oh, hang on, I've got it here.
While you're finding that, let me just say, AI is on a date tonight. Well done,
nice.
AI,
Good luck.
and I wish you all the best, mate. Hope it goes very well.
So yeah, okay, here's the image. So he claims, I mean, he's very sort of open about how much he just sort of like hates his former self. And he has this whole bit where he goes into I've just put it in the presentation, but yeah, there we go. By 1987, at the age of 15, he was going door to door on mixed race housing estates with a copy of the National Front newspaper, a flag in one hand, and a wheel brace in a plastic bag in the other. His favorite slogan was, "If you want an N-word."
At 15, I don't believe
15.
him.
Yeah.
Don't believe him. Sorry.
Vote Labour. Now, of course, the thing is, this is a slogan. This is a slogan that the left has hung on to for a long time. This comes from the Smethwick by-election leaflet, which I believe was also fake. There was a great article that I found years back about the Smethwick like conservative pamphlet. I'm just trying to work out when that by-election was.
Can I just say one thing, Outman? And I'm an older dude, okay? Right? I'm in my early 60s. So I remember much further back than a lot of younger people do. And I can tell you that in Britain, in those days, like in the last century, nigger was not a common expression in Britain. All right. It's an American expression. Yes, it was used in Britain in the 19th century occasionally, but it was not something that was used in the second half of the 20th century in Britain. It wasn't. There were other insults that people used for sure, but not that one, not the hard R one.
Yeah. And it's like the Conservative by-election in Smethwick, where that quote originally comes from, was in 1964, which would have been a long time before he was alive. I don't know the extent. I mean, obviously nowadays it's quite easy to find this stuff in the online space, but this is something that like lefties used to harp on a lot. But the thing is, even that pamphlet in the 1964 Smethwick collection, there's a lot of evidence to say it was fake. It didn't have any of the usual paraphernalia that Tory pamphlets had. It said about being re-elected or something, even though they weren't currently, I think, in power in that district at the time. It also claimed about starting some or opening some government department or something, which didn't make a lot of sense. And on top of that as well, like Malcolm X literally flew to the UK to have his photo taken with that pamphlet.
Listen, Raw Biscuits is saying there goes the stream because I said the N-word.
He dropped it. He dropped the slur.
YouTube. I said the M-word because it wasn't being used in Britain in those days. That's why I said it. I wasn't using
we're using it in purely sociological framing.
Yes, we're using it in historical sociological framing, and it was not commonly used in Britain in 1987. And what I'm really saying is this dude, whose quote Adamant has on the screen at the moment, was probably bloody well lying, actually.
Yeah. So I've got a lot more Matthew Collins stuff actually. So he says this sort of stuff about himself. It is a bit odd. There's this particular clip of him. It's a 2-minute long clip from a news channel. It's actually quite recent. Should we play that? I'm a little bit worried about copyright.
When's it from, Adam?
I don't know when's it from. I know it's sort of aired in the last sort of, I think I would have to say like the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
If you've got a transcript of it, you can put that up.
Well, I've got another clip which won't be copyrighted, I don't think, which is quite a bit older. Let me just check how long that one is.
Okay, and also, like, the other thing with copyright is if it's 30 seconds, you can get away with it. If it's 2 minutes, less often.
Yeah, I was a bit dubious about that, but I'll upload this other one. I can upload a video file, can't I?
I think so. You should be able to upload anything I can upload.
Yeah. Don't know.
Who were the 40 people who...
We'll just play it for a little bit.
It was led by 2 of the senior members of the BNP, and a removal van from Essex just full of really violent young men, football hooligans, and myself and some other chaps from the National Front.
Did you yourself kick anybody, hurt anybody?
When I got
Did you actually hit someone?
Yeah, I did hit someone.
In the face?
In the face. Wasn't a very good one because the chap behind me had to finish the job for me.
What do you call finishing the job?
Well, it made sure that the chap didn't get up.
Were you kicking him on the floor?
Well, I went straight into the meet, and behind me, of course, 40 men trying to get over 2 bodies. You know, they stamped all over him.
Adam, can you stop this a sec? Right?
Yeah.
I've got to say, I reckon if you punched him on the face, in the nose, he'd cry.
Yeah, he does look like that, to be honest.
He doesn't look like the type that he's pretending to be at all.
But the thing is as well, like, I mean, I'm not going to play the other clip, but the details from this story keep changing. So his claim is that in 1989, but sometimes he says 1993.
Adam, let me just say, we might be able to play your longer clip, but what we have to do is stop it every.
Yeah, well, it's all right. I mean, this one. If
we stop it every 30 seconds, we'll be able to. Because what you've got to do when you're commenting on a clip is you've got to transform it, which means you've got to stop it and talk about it. So if you want to play it, we could.
Yeah, there's only really one part of that clip that's actually important, so we'll play just that bit after we've done this one. But
cool, cool.
Yeah, we'll carry on with this one for just a little bit longer.
Sure.
When I get into the meeting, it's just women, just a lot of old women and a lot of young women. And there's no real organisation and no huge security in there, and they're all just sitting having a meeting, and all hell broke loose.
But you haven't been a stranger to violence. I mean, you've talked about it already, that you quite liked it. Why was this different?
I didn't say I liked it. I said I wasn't immune to it. It just seemed totally out of proportion and over the top.
This bloke is not familiar with violence. You can just look at his face and see that. He's not, honestly. If you punched him in the nose and he started bleeding from the nose, he'd bloody well cry. I promise you.
Yeah. I mean, I got into a little bit of rough and tumble, never that much as a teen and late teen, early 20s. And we were actually bikers. I did actually ride around with a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
if we ever, which will really only happened in any particularly large capacity once, our motorcycle helmet stayed on. And I think in one of these clips, even in here, he says like, oh, one of them's got like a motorcycle helmet in one hand and a hammer in the other. And it's like, a motorcycle helmet doesn't really make the best weapon, but it's really amazing for protecting you from getting like clipped in the back of the head. I mean, I remember one time these three guys ganged up on me, and I had my motorcycle helmet on, and I just sort of like crouched into the corner, and they were just pummeling me, and nothing happened. I was like totally fine.
Yeah, no, and also people who don't know how to fight only hit in the head. If you know how to fight, do some body shots, guys. Apart from anything else, it stops people protecting their head. But this guy knows fuck all about violence, and I guarantee it. He's just lying because he's trying to smear people, basically.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So like, he was a paid informant, so he was a member of these right-wing groups. But like, we'll carry on with this clip actually, and then I'll play the bit from the next clip, and then it should probably put it into a bit of context.
Adam, and he's basically what our American friends call a fed.
Yeah, that he does seem to just basically be a fed.
That's all he is.
The story keeps changing. The thing is, like, the cover thumbnail for this stream is a photo from the Welling riots in 1993. Now, he claims that this attack that he's referring to, and that he talks about in the other more modern clip, was in Welling. But first he says it's an attack in 1989, and then he says it's an attack in 1993. 1993, of course, was when the riot happened. Maybe he got the years mixed up. But the thing is, as well, is that the story he basically implies is that they went into a library. There was like a library attack where far-right thugs went into this library. And he kind of jokes in the other clip. He's like, oh, we know the far right don't like reading. I mean, he's basically said that about himself in that last quote we went through. He said the only book he'd ever read was Mein Kampf, which seems odd because Mein Kampf is not the easiest first read.
No, and it's a shit book, to be honest. I mean, I've read it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who does, really. But I've got to say, the far right, far right is their term, not ours. I'm a right winger. I'm not far right. And I think we read a hell of a lot more than the left, actually. But
yeah.
I mean,
generally,
at least if you don't count things like Das Kapital and what have you.
Yeah. I've always hated the whole like their sort of performative love of books. Like, I've got quite a big little personal library. I think you have too. And as have most of the people that are in our Discord are quite avid readers. We've got a whole book section of the Discord.
Sadly, Aaron Hook's not in my Discord at the moment.
Yeah, literally a booktuber.
But he's a literal booktuber. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone was saying that Morgoth got doxed by these people. We are going to move on to that later on, guys. Don't worry. But I just think this guy's a con artist, and the typical liberal shit lib lefty woman who's interviewing him is just so typical,
Yeah. I'll just upload the next video, but we'll play out at least a large chunk of this one.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. Long as we transform it by commenting on it, it's perfectly legal to do that.
Yeah. I'll just play the rest of this.
But they could have been doing.
Did any of the women get hurt?
Oh, I think somebody jumped through the window to escape it. I mean, I think 9 people went to hospital. There was no stopping them. Once they got in there, one of them who went on to become an elected official for the BNP had a motorcycle helmet in one hand and a hammer in the other. And the people in the meeting were, sort of cowering away into this corner, and they just kept coming with chairs. And when people were on the floor, they picked them up off the floor and hit them again.
Yes, we'll just we'll leave that clip there. But so this is him. That was him talking about it. This is this was quite a way back.
And 9 women went to hospital. I don't believe it. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. So this is the thing. I actually spent a bit of time yesterday going through the undercover policing inquiry website, and they do actually have quite a bit of info on there on the 1993 Welling riot, but there's no mention. Like, he says in one part he says 9, I think in another time he says 17. I think at one point he even says like 70 people were injured in this attack. I can't find any evidence of that anywhere except
but in
him.
that clip to that moronic shitlib reporter, he tries to claim that 9 women went to hospital, which I just don't believe it. I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, you can like the BNP or not, but they weren't well known for attacking women. I'm sorry, they weren't.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget, the BNP were the people who would sit through 2-hour Jonathan Bowden lectures at various pubs around the country. They weren't actually the thugs that the left would like to portray them to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, like we'll play a little bit of that next clip actually, if we can.
Yeah, mate, sure. Let me get rid of this one.
Yeah,
and
I'll remove it.
This one up.
Mine was one day in a library. Now we've seen it already that fascists don't like libraries. No. Mine was a violent incident in a library where my colleagues and I. From the National Front and the British National Party.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is the same incident. He's talking about the library, gets the little jab in. He's saying that
this is the same guy, like when he's older, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a lot more.
This guy's never been in a fight in his life. I almost guarantee it.
No. Yeah, he's no.
Like I've been in quite a few fights, mate. I was a soldier, so it goes with the territory. And this dude has not been in many fights in his entire life.
Yeah,
he's not even got like a batch nose, for example. No, he's just a fucking liar, basically.
Yeah. Just play just a little bit more.
MP. We went to a meeting to exercise our right to free speech. And we got into this meeting and we saw we outnumbered and we outpowered the people in there who were mainly women, mainly Asian women. And they attacked us, or we attacked them, with hammers, with chairs, with tables, hospitalized.
Yeah, so, again, I can't find the evidence of this attack. I don't.
Adam, have you ever seen a political meeting, even a Muslim political meeting, that mainly had women in it?
No.
In fact, of all the things you're not going to find, a Muslim political meeting full of Muslim women, you're never going to find that, mate.
Yeah.
Because the Muslim guys won't let them do that. They just won't.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like one of the funny things is that when I was looking for this clip, there was a bunch of people, like, because obviously there's a lot of people on the right posting it going, oh look, this guy from Hope Not Hate attacked women with hammers, and there's lots of lefties going like, didn't you listen? He's saying that was when he was far right and he's totally changed now. And I looked on one of these people's profiles and they were spurging out about how Farage was popular in Welling. And they're like, oh, it was the high headquarters of the BNP. Of course he'd be popular there. It's like, so how did they get a library full of Asian women, like in Welling, who were organizing? Presumably, he claims a little bit later in this clip.
Bullshit. Like, Muslim men will never let Asian women do anything on their own.
There is an aspect where Pink Dam says, as you brought it up, if this ever happened, it would have been wall-to-wall photo outrage fodder for weeks. Yep. One of the weird things I will say that you see in the British political sphere that's different to the American political sphere, where this is always the case, is in the British sphere, there are actually examples of like far-right terrorism from like the 80s and 90s, which the state has also memory holed. You know, we always think of the state as memory holding leftist violence or leftist excesses, but they have actually, you know, like you had the Soho nail bomb attacker. Like that never gets talked about.
Very, very occasional, very isolated individuals, and is all I'd say about that.
But then when you flip it and you get to, let's say, like 2010 and onwards, they then do run everything all the time. Like we never hear the end of Joe Cox, right? So yeah, it is weird how that works. I never really understood why.
Unlike Anne Widdecombe, who, you know, the trial for this dude's not going to be for a year.
Yeah.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like there is sort of an extent to which the British establishment kind of sees sort of far right violence in the 80s and 90s, which did exist. They kind of see it as sort of also one of their excesses, which they need to kind of put away, but for a different reason, I suspect. Yeah, it's an odd one. We won't play this clip all the way through, but I'll just play a little more.
I would just say this, Salman. In the 80s and 90s, the British establishment was still facing a lot of far left, very organized terrorist violence from the Provisional IRA, etc.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason there's that slight difference.
Yeah, like if you read, because, you know, we were talking about the SPLC and that. I mean, if you read that book, Days of Rage, about like far leftist violence, like the Weather Underground movement and that in America. I mean, that's a whole era of like very excessive political violence that is just completely pushed under the rug.
I did a post on X yesterday now, I think. When I was in the British Army and serving in Northern Ireland, after a pyro bomb in a shopping centre, when, as usual, they sent the warning too late to evacuate the place because they did that all the time. I found this chick's ankle strap high heel shoe with a foot still in it.
Jesus. Yeah, I think you told me the story before.
Yeah, and you know, the pyro guys were scum, basically. And they were Marxists. You know, they really were. They still are. In fact, the Sinn Féin, which is the political wing of the Provisional IRA, they are people who totally support the complete replacement of Irish people in Ireland by 55 billion Somalians. So long as you get rid of the Brits, you can have as many blacks and browns in as you want, you know. According to Sinn Féin and the Provisional IRA, they were scumbags, but they were actual leftist terrorists. So I suspect that's probably why there is that slight difference. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, I remember being a little embarrassed at how old I was when I actually learned that Lee Harvey Oswald was actually just like a full-on Russophilic communist.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's like you'll get this topic that's spoken about at a lot of length, and yet there'll be really, really like important details that I've just completely buried, completely omitted from all those public conversations.
And many of them too. Yeah. Many of them. It's just really common, you know.
Like Alabasta said in chat, to be fair, the US has memory hold militias at the US-Mexican border in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I think that's the difference. And also I would point out again the very small number of far-right terrorist things in Britain, even back in the 20th century. They were usually isolated individuals. They weren't thoroughly organized in the way that most lefty and Muslim terrorist things were. And of course, back then, as I say, the people like the PIRA, the Provisional IRA. So there's that too.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just play a little more of this. I have got a few more clips after this, but they're old and they're not that long, so they shouldn't be copyrightable. But yeah, we'll just play just a little bit more of this.
17 people. When it was halfway through this assault, this attack, I looked around the room and I thought all the reasons I joined the National Front about looking after me and my welfare and, you know, my future in society. I looked at the people I was with who were stamping on the heads of these people, and I realized these people on the floor are the ones who care about me. These are the ones who have these petitions to keep libraries open, to keep hospitals open, and these would
What
be the
a
same women
lying
who would now be...
cunt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What a lying cunt. I beg your pardon, but...
Yeah, so he went into a library during the Welling riots, or possibly 4 years before, he can't remember. And
Adam, are you a big public library user?
to be honest, I used to be, and I still now, even when because my local library has an online archive, so you can go and search what they've got, which I think is pretty common for most sort of like small town or small city libraries. But and I still, if I've got an interest in a book that I'm looking at on Amazon, I'll go on the archive and I'll put it in there. But to be honest, there's so little of anything I'm interested in there. I haven't been in there in a long time.
Let me tell you, Alan, when I was a little boy, and an older chap as well, from the age of 7 or 8, I'd say, I used to use the public libraries in Britain a lot. Yeah. And quite early on, I got an exception from my local library when I was like 8 years old, that I could go and borrow history books from the adult library, even though I was only 8. And, you know, I'd go and get books about the Roman Empire and all this kind of stuff. I've got to say, and I lived in London then, and, you know, London got more and more diverse. It was nowhere near as diverse then as it is now, of course, but it was getting more diverse. But I seldom saw a black or brown person in the library, I got to say.
Yeah,
like hardly ever, actually.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I used to donate a lot of blood. And
you don't see many black people doing that.
That was actually why I kicked it in the end, because I remember going during lockdown, and I cycled across the city, and there were just like foreigners everywhere. But then I get to the you know, ignoring lockdown presumably, and I suppose the white people are all following the rules, and then I got to the blood donorship place, and it was just the complete polar opposite. It's all these white people in there. And I remember there was a game that came out around this time, and it was called it was an offshoot. There was a game called oh shit, I can't remember what it was called actually. It was a Ubisoft game, and you played like a hacker, and it was like an open world type game. And they made an offshoot of it that was based in London, and there was like a villain who was supposed to be like a sort of Nigel Farage copy. And the subplot for this game was that they were harvesting foreigners for their organs. Someone's just messaged me and said it's Watch Dogs. Yeah, that's the one. Watch Dogs Legion, I think it was called.
Wow.
And they've got this subplot, which is that all these immigrants that are coming in, they're harvesting them for their organs. And I just remember sitting in this place and just thinking, like, it's literally the opposite. All these old people have been trained in their blood to keep, like, you know, like violent blacks in the inner city who keep stabbing each other alive. And yeah, I never donated blood after that.
Adam, and I've got to say, right, my girlfriend currently is a Japanese girl. And she is watching this stream, and she was quite interested in it because she could not understand how people in Britain, like Hope Not Hate, are anti-British and pro-foreigners, because Japanese people just don't get that. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you
I was looking at
even relatively lefty Japanese people are pro-Japanese. You know, it's like it's very strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, you even get this to some extent with the Americans. We were really good at, like, the BBC back in the day was really good at selling this sort of image of Britain. But the BBC that allies itself with Hope Not Hate, because of course Hope Not Hate, some of their producers actually write for things like BBC Panorama and stuff like that.
Panorama, World in Action, Channel 4 shows, you name it. I hate people who work for them.
Yeah. And it's like,
but one of the reasons I mentioned that, Adam, is that, you know, in case some Hope Not Hate supporter wants to accuse me of being vile and racist and all the rest of it, well, okay then. My Japanese girlfriend doesn't think I'm all that racist. But there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I can't be racist. I've got a black friend, but I don't have black friends.
No, I don't, nor do I, but that's a different story. I used to have black soldiers. When I was in the South African Defence Force, I had black soldiers, and some of them were pretty good.
Yeah.
Particularly the NCOs. But yeah, but these days, no, I don't have any black friends these days at all.
Yeah, we'll play just a little bit more of this. I won't watch it all.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it.
You know, food banks, another new Tory invention. And these were the good people. And I actually thought we were the good guys standing up for race and nation. And I stood there and thought, you know what, I'm absolute scum. That's what I am for doing this. How does beating people up help me, help my people, help my race? And I just, I'm on the wrong side.
He's a fucking liar. I'm sorry. He's a fucking liar.
Yeah. The thing is as well, right? He's sitting there going, oh, I thought I was doing all this for good reasons. Like we just read that passage about him before, where he was saying that at the age of 15 he was walking around with like with a weapon in a bag.
Another lie. This guy could not punch his way out of a paper bag. I guarantee it to you.
Yeah. He's got a very punchable face, but I don't think he's ever been punched in the face all that often. Anyway,
sadly, in many respects, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll take this one down. So I have got a couple of clips from about the Welling riots, just to give a little bit of context. And again, we're still in like before Hope Not Hate times, which is, you know, largely because this is all like the groundwork for them. Let me just. Oh, hang on. Of course, it's going to bug me around now. Hang on. Give me 1 second.
These people are nothing if not hypocrites. You know, if the left weren't hypocrites, they wouldn't be anything, really.
Yeah, let me just upload that.
There you go.
There was violence at the last demonstration calling for the closure of the BNP's bookshop in Welling. All police leave in London has been cancelled for Saturday's march. Organisers claim 30,000 people will take part. It's the first major demonstration against the BNP since it won a council by-election in Tower Hamlets last month.
Racist protesters say they'll defy police attempts to keep them away from the British National Party headquarters during a big march.
Got to say, Adam, my younger brother, who in general terms is a good bloke. We're not best mates, but in general terms, he's a good bloke. He was a big Millwall supporter, whose flag we just saw.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Welling was, I think Welling still is an overwhelmingly white area, to be fair. I haven't looked at the demographics of it, to be honest. But the thing is that so Welling was basically there was this bookshop there. It was a BNP bookshop. It was kind of regarded as like the headquarters of the BNP. Again, all right, this guy a minute ago was like, we went into a library and attacked a library because we don't like books. And meanwhile, the organization he claimed to be a member of was based out of a bookshop.
Yeah. And Jonathan Bowden, guys. I mean, listen, there's a good Jonathan Bowden stream you can find on this channel where I interviewed one of Jonathan Bowden's best friends at the time. And you know, Jonathan Bowden was a book guy. He really was.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, like I mean, Pink Dam in chat said the logic behind quote I was all on board, but after being disgusted by the means I saw being applied, I rejected the ends entirely. Falls flat. Yeah, like, and the thing is that I do to some extent wonder if he is being true or truthful partly in small part about what he was doing. I don't kind of think to some extent he just seems like someone that is just an extremist and he just jumps from extreme position to extreme position. Whatever allows him to sort of exact sort of nastiness on other people. You know, he saw at the beginning he could do that through the National Front, but then he flips and he decides he can do that with the communists. You know,
I think he was a liar.
Yeah,
Adamant.
So there was
he was an infiltrator overwhelmingly.
There was a guy who was on Trigonometry a while back, and he was a former BNP member, and he kind of left the far right, and he does all these videos. But even in that extent, he's still like he in the end he just ends up being a Tory. He doesn't like go off and become a communist. Like,
well, yeah. Look, I mean, I guess in the 1980s, when I was a young British soldier, I was a Tory, kind of. I'm certainly not now, but I didn't go more to the left. I went more to the right. You know, it's like it's there has to be some logic in your political moves. You know.
Yeah. It's a weird one. We'll play a little bit more. There aren't that many more clips. It's not just going to be a clip show, but yeah.
Scotland Yard wants the demonstration rerouted to keep it at least 300 yards from the BNP offices in Welling, Kent. The protest organisers claim up to 30,000 people are expected. Yvonne Hall reports.
It seems like this that the police want to avoid. The last march by some anti-racist groups ended in rioting near the BNP bookshop and caused thousands of pounds worth of damage. Today, BNP supporters were reinforcing the premises, even though police say the demonstrators, who want the BNP closed down, can't march past there again. But today, protesters outside Scotland Yard said the march, expected to attract 30,000 people, will go past the BNP.
It's a Nazi bunker. Their activity in their headquarters is that they produce their material there, their posters there.
Even back then, Armin, she's a fat girl, you see?
Yeah.
Even back then,
Physiognomy
she's a lefty
doesn't lie.
fat girl. Yeah, physiognomy never lies.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, they're referring to it as a Nazi bunker, but I mean, there's a bit in these clips where they actually, we'll play it, but yeah, there's just a bit more.
It goes up around the country, it emanates from that headquarters. Their activity emanates from that headquarters, and people want to show their outrage at that, and we believe that people will be prepared to do that peacefully.
Scotland Yard says the protesters must take an alternative route to protect public safety. In a statement, Metropolitan Police Commissioner Paul Condon added, what they propose would mean thousands of people marching through narrow residential streets. We believe there is potentially great danger in this.
And Adam, notice the highly professionally printed banners.
Same as today.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, this is the thing. I mean,
when the like people against these migrant hotels and stuff protest, they do their own signs. But when the left do stuff, it's all totally professionally printed. It's funny that, isn't it?
I think even to some extent you can actually see the signs that they use at this particular riot. They actually use a lot of the same color schemes that like stand up to racism and hope not hate in all their later their later banners.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this clip's basically finished. I'll just play out this last little bit.
Shop in Upper Wickham Lane have welcomed the police decision.
Yeah, the second clip has the bit where they ask they speak to the shopkeepers. So I'll just bring that one up. But yeah, I mean, I went to an organization meetup in a small town where the left actually came to
12 other officers
barrage
and
us.
41 members of the public were also taken to hospital after being pelted with bricks, bottles and sticks. 6 petrol bombs were seized from one of the protesters. Anti-racist protesters had one.
So just quickly, I saw lots of leftists because what happened was they kicked in a wall of a cemetery and then they took the bricks from the wall and used them as missiles against the police.
So great respect for the dead, and
Yeah.
obviously.
Again, this was apparently the riot, supposedly, if you go by what he says, where Matt Collins showed up on the side of the BNP and then had his mind totally changed by the other side, apparently. And it's like, though I actually saw some leftists say, no, the police charged them and they fell into the cemetery wall. Which, could be true, but I don't know where the petrol bombs come into that.
No. Adam, if you've ever seen a wall, right?
Yeah.
50 people can fall on a wall and it won't fall over.
Yeah.
You got what you do is you kick the top of it and then gradually work down. Then you could knock it over, sure. But
yeah, I mean that story would have included members of the public.
It's just it was a lie, mate. If leftists didn't lie, they wouldn't be able to speak at all, really.
Yeah. I'll just carry on this clip a bit longer.
Wanted to march past the headquarters of the British National Party in Welling, but police created an exclusion zone to keep them away. Violence broke out as some marchers tried to break through the police cordon.
The march had gone off largely peacefully until it reached a suburban road leading to the BNP bookshop 3/4 of a mile away. A section of the demonstrators surged forward in an attempt to breach the police lines and gain access to Welling and the BNP. Riot police reinforcements moved in to hold the line. Within minutes it turned into an ugly and violent confrontation. But despite police charges, the minority of rioters at the front held their ground.
No, they didn't. They're running away. You can see they are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The fat bastards at the front and all the women are running away. And, basically every single leftist demonstration is fat bastards at the front, some trannies and a load of idiot white women, basically.
Now, in the last clip, the anchor lady was like, "Oh, it's predicted that 30,000 people will show up to this protest," and I actually saw leftists that were celebrating this riot.
That's not 30,000 people.
No, yeah, I saw, because there's actually a lot of leftist pages on social media now who still actually celebrate this demo. And they're like, yeah, we really put the far right to bed, even though they basically just attacked the police. Like, there's no far right people they're engaging with anywhere in sight.
And the British police sure ain't far right. I mean, the British police hate Anglo-Celtic British people, basically.
So, yeah, Strontium Dog in chat claims, he says, I was at Welling on that day. So many people bust in by the SWP. Well, I mean, maybe, but like, they definitely did bust a lot of people in. Like, absolutely. I mean, Welling's not even that big, really. But this isn't 30,000 people. But they absolutely did bust a lot of people in.
It's a suburb, Hammond, basically, But they held their ground. No, they didn't. They all ran away because they were fat guys and white women behind them, and none of them could fight because the left never can fight, actually. But whatever.
Yeah, we'll just play a bit more.
Mounted officers were deployed as the crossroads became virtually a battlefield. Stewards attempted to restore order. Some marchers tried to sit down protests.
Do you see how kind the left are to all those poor horses? Do you see how kind they are? Poor horses who have, they're neutral, really. But the left are lovely to them, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, Alabaster and Pink Dan bring up Cable Street. At Cable Street, they were like, they boast to this day about like throwing marbles under the hoofs of horses and
Kill innocent animals. Absolutely right. And I mean, Cable Street was very largely a Jewish protest anyway. But
Yeah. Again, with busting mobs and and again, just them
absolutely.
fighting the police, similar to this. Yeah, it's always the same with them. But I mean, I say always the same with them. But of course, the thing is, now they say 30,000 people. There's not 30,000 here, but there is a good number.
Not a chance. Not a chance. There might be 5.
Yeah, but they couldn't get even a fraction of this number to a protest now.
No.
I mean, at the event I was at where we got pilloried by the left, it just so happened there was a large leftist demo in a neighboring town. So they got them over on the train. And even then, there, I don't think there was more than like 100 of them. And that was actually a fair sized group.
But Armand, you've also got to remember 100 leftists is worth probably 20 or 25 real men.
Well, here they actually look quite young, but at all the modern demos you see, they're all old people. I imagine they're the same people.
Yeah. There's loads of middle-aged old cat ladies and trannies and enormously fat, very feminine blokes. And I don't concern myself with lefties. I really don't. None of them can fight anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They can shoot you, as Charlie Kirk proved. They can assassinate you, as Anne Widdecombe proved. But, and people like Hope Not Hate encourage that. Absolutely, they do. So that you have to worry about to some degree. And, the fact that our modern Western governments will, to some degree, cover it up.
Yeah.
So that you have to worry about. But, physical violence from the left, I've never worried about that. None of them can fight anyway. So
yeah. Just play the last of this.
Was stationary, unaware of what was happening at the front, where someone threw a smoke bomb. A police officer quickly picked it up and threw it into
I just feel sorry for the horses, to be honest.
Yeah. How do you actually? Because I know you're really big on like animal rights and that. How do you feel about horses being used by the police?
Listen, horses are good for crowd control. They are, and they do give them quite a lot of protection now. You can see, like, those horses have got eye protection, for example. But I prefer they didn't use horses or dogs for this stuff. But I understand why they do, because they're good at it. But
horses and dogs do love it as well, though.
Well, the horses don't. They don't, to be honest.
You don't think so?
Horses are herbivores whose natural reaction is to run away from violence. Whereas dogs, yes, more. You're right about that.
I mean, dogs love being helpful to their owner.
And also they want to defend their human,
Yeah.
Because that's their pack. So dogs, I think, are less of an issue. Horses, I'm always dubious. But what I don't get about this shit is that lefties are constantly claiming they're in favor of animal rights and all this bullshit,
I mean, me and
whereas they're not really. They're just fucking liars, like as they are about everything else.
Well, me and it was actually Royal Biscuits in chat. We're chatting the other day, shooting the shit, and I was talking about how, like, if you look at like the modern climate change guys, a lot of those guys were just the animal rights movement from like 15 years ago, and they just moved from one issue to the other. There is sort of like a strong element within the left where they just cause chase, whatever chase they can put all their wedge issues into.
Adam, and how many times on our Discord have we spoken about these fucking wind turbines, right?
Yeah.
That kill tens of thousands of birds every year. But somehow they're green. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Nuclear power stations don't kill birds. Wind turbines do.
Raw Biscuit says, isn't it because they don't have jobs and families? Yeah, I think to a large extent. I mean, like we were talking when the Anne Widdecombe case first broke, which of course we'll probably bring up later anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. I want to talk about doxing because that's something these scum are very famous for. I'd like to talk about how, first of all, UKIP, and then later on, Reform UK, were allowing these people to do their like vetting of candidates, and then I'd like to talk about how these people can encourage people on the left to kill people on their websites. And it's all right.
Yeah.
If we did that sort of thing on the right, we'd get arrested immediately.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not always the case because you had that guy, I've actually forgotten his name, the guy that set himself on fire over the Palestine thing, who was in the US Army, I believe. Yeah, he had a family and kids, which I think makes that story even more horrific. But
he's got to be insane, surely.
Yeah, but then you have like the guy who it looks like is currently accused of murdering Anne Widdecombe, and he's like a guy who's a bit of a loner, bit of this, bit of that. These are kind of like, I mean, first off, these are all traits that they always project onto right wingers. But
Adam, am I right in saying that the bloke who hit Anne Widdecombe, a little old lady in her late 70s, like 28 or 29 times on the head with a hammer, was 28?
Yeah, rough 28 if you look at the photo.
You look at him right now. I'm 62, just about. Trust me, my body is in better condition than that. He's just such a lefty.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
it rots you from the inside. That
yeah, it does. Like your brain rots out. Look, he's 28 and he looks like he's about 85.
Yeah. He looks
like if Anne Widdecombe had been, I don't know, let's say Rupert Lowe, would have beaten him up, I reckon.
Yeah, it is awful to think about that case. But we'll just play out the rest of this. I've just got one clip after that, although we don't have to watch all of that.
On the other side of the crossroads, some demonstrators brazenly taunted the police. Then the confrontation settled into a pattern of police charges into the crowd, which were followed by tactical retreats. Police sustained injuries, so too did the marchers, a number of whom were also arrested. Some rioters wore masks and balaclavas to avoid identification. Others at the back of the march just gave up, turned round and went home.
Yeah, so...
Wow.
I'll just upload the last one, which is a direct carry-on from this clip. But just...
Fighting had begun. The marchers finally began heading to a playing field for a rally. An angry police commander showed one of the bricks thrown at his officers. He said the riot-proof police were right to reroute the march.
If this march had been allowed to go past the bookshop, you can see what would have happened in the far more confined spaces.
Mounted police regrouped.
Just quickly as well, like the police were already actually starting to get a bit rotten and a bit captured back then. Yeah. But still, still like the general officers you would see on the front line, the general, the chief constables and the like were just of such a higher quality than what you get now.
What year was this, Alman?
This was 1993.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, they're vastly better. You know that these days, there's no way they would have charged the lefty bastards. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
I mean, I got into a conversation with an American a little while ago, and we were talking about the police, and he said about American police, and he was like, "Oh, and he said something about how like the British police were better because you required to have a university degree."
Whoa,
And I was like,
that's
"Well, it's
not
only
a good idea."
no." I was like, "Well, that's only a
No.
recent thing," and I said, "And actually, the police standards have plummeted the most since that came in."
The British police were at their best in the, like, say in the 1980s. Most British policemen were ex-British soldiers and people like that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
when
and
the British police were at their best. Though, like some guys who liked that stuff, they would leave the army, go join the cops. Just like some of them still join the fire brigade or whatever,
Yeah, and it's like to a large extent, I think that we went from the police being a job that a less educated guy could aspire to, which attracted smart and capable people who weren't academically inclined, but were great
they
in
were
other
the
ways.
guys who got promoted.
Yeah.
Like if you spent 3 years or 6 years or 9 years in the British Army, and then you went and joined the police, and you were any good, you'd get promoted back in the day. But because you'd been that ordinary dude, the ordinary British public were the same as you, kind of thing,
Yeah. Whereas as nowadays, if you're a police officer, you're probably someone who is from a university, but you didn't do well enough or get a good enough degree to do anything else. So you kind of
you
just
couldn't
end
get a
up
good
picking the
job, so you
police.
joined the cops.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you're kind of scraping the barrel of one field versus taking the cream of the crop from another. It's it's very
Adam, when I was a kid, right, when I was a little kid in the 70s, I remember I was in the front garden of some abandoned house once, and some British cop in his high helmet came up and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" and like I'm about 8 or something like that, and I go, I don't know, because I was scared shitless. and also he was almost 6 foot tall, and he said, "You need to get out of here, son." and that's what they were like. I mean, he wasn't going to arrest me or do anything idiot like that, but he stopped me being naughty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really, what you want your cops to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also back then they still walked the beat. A cop would come around every 15 or 20 or 30 minutes, whatever the beat was.
Yeah. I mean, Peter Hitchens goes into in his book on crime how they sort of deliberately got rid of the Bobby on the beat.
Yep.
In a lot of ways,
the guys who used to walk around and they talk to people outside their house, or they talk to shopkeepers, and they knew the area.
Yeah.
It's so insane that they got rid of that.
Yeah. I mean, Pink Dam says in chat, but even back at Cable Street, the police did typically take the easy route instead of the difficult but proper route, and asked Oswald to reroute his procession instead of clearing the King's Highway. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing, isn't it? This whole good British institutions taking the easy road so as to avoid real work in the post-war period and in slightly before the war, is what led to a lot of this ultimately. But anyway, we'll just play a bit more of this. Where's the
As the marchers made their way to the rally, even here the rioting continued in suburban front gardens as police and side
Why are
streets were
they in
pelted.
people's
As
gardens?
the rally wound up, more
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, back in the first clip, that the police constable was saying, we're not going to have them going through these residential areas. That's dangerous. And of course, they've proven the police exactly right, because they're just in people's.
I mean, I
gardens.
presume none of those front gardens were BNP front gardens, you know?
No. And I guarantee the protesters didn't live there either.
Like, if they'd have come in my front garden, I'd been out there with a damn great stick hitting them on the head. But, you know.
Yeah.
John Draper, ITN, South London.
So yeah, so that's basically the a full overview of the Welling riots, which I think is the Welling riot, which I think is important because I do think
organised by Hope Not Hate people, basically.
Yeah, Hope Not Hate before it was Hope Not Hate. I mean, this is over 10 years before Hope Not Hate was properly founded, and yet. This seems to be where the mythology of most of the Hope Not Hate members comes out.
Well, it's the same people running it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ex-commies who claim to be Labour supporters, etc.
Yeah, it's a worrying thing. So then. Not really much happens. I mean, there's that joke, isn't there? Is it Austin Powers where they're like, oh, the 90s, nothing happens. And
well, apart from that scumbag cunt Treyer Tony Blair, but
yeah, in the late 90s, you kind of go from like that happening in 93. I mean, this is the decade of John Major, so. Naturally, the decade was
also a scumbag.
Yeah. So the decade is as bland as the leader was in a sort of funny way. But and then you kind of get through. Anyway, we actually see the birth of Hope Not Hate, right? And they're sort of a rebirth. At this point, Searchlight's coming under a lot of fire. They're sort of. I mean, we're an hour and 20 minutes into the stream, and I've literally only just brought up the founding of Hope Not Hate, but. So Hope Not Hate kind of comes into the spotlight, kind of gets birthed, and they're founded explicitly by Nick Lowles, this sort of figure who is, I suppose, like Jerry Gable's right-hand man in some capacity.
What does he look like, Armand?
Nick Lowles. Let me just get a picture up.
I'm always interested to see what these people look like because they always look the same.
Yeah, you're going to love this guy.
I bet I will.
Let me just...
They always look the same, these people.
Yeah.
You know how you can tell like a English or British guy? You can. Like very often you can. But, not exactly, but you can kind of think, yeah, he might be a Brit. But this guy, here we go. Exactly. Hang on. It'll add eventually. Yep. There you go. There you go. This bloke is exactly how you would expect him to look, isn't he? Like a more punchable face there is not in existence, really.
Yeah. This is quite an old photo. I will say, we were saying about the other people aging badly. He's 58. I think he is. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he's 58 years old. No, this is an old photo.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think he's aged horrifically when you consider that he's one of them.
Yeah, but imagine looking like that. I mean, Jesus Christ, mate. I mean,
yeah.
Like,
you'd have to become a communist.
His nose just looks like it's got Target on it. You've got to punch me in the nose. Imagine him saying something. Imagine you're sitting in a pub one night, right? And you're chatting to your mates, and this cunt says something to you. You're just going to hit him because you've got to hit him, really, with that face.
Yeah.
He's got a face that begs to be hit.
Yeah, someone, Nate Spurs said, look at him now. I've just put up a picture of him more recently.
I bet he hasn't changed a bit.
Not really.
Yeah, exactly. He's still got a face that you really want to punch. Yeah.
Looks like he's got Tom Ford sunglasses on, so I suppose the left wing grift is working out for him.
Wow.
I say that I've just bought a pair of Curry and Paxton shades, so I can't criticize people for spending money.
I once bought a pair of aviator sunglasses and lost them.
Oof.
And because they were so expensive, I've never bought an expensive pair of sunglasses since, to be honest. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I said to a friend of mine, I was like, oh, you got to spend good money on stuff like wallets and sunnies and stuff like that, but you just look after them. And then I bought a nice Ettinger card case, and then I went kayaking, and that was at a right-wing social event as well, like a far-right social event. I went kayaking and I lost it in the water.
Yeah, that would be easy to do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was heartbroken.
See, this is what informs me. I was an infantry soldier from 18 years old, so like anything you're going to carry in your pockets, you're probably going to fucking lose it at some point.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But yeah, so okay, so we have 2004, we have the founding of Hope Not Hate, and you know, they meander around. They start producing a little while later, you know, like reports.
Do you think he looks Indian, Adam?
Well, so he actually, I can't remember the details of this. I should have got it up. There's this big bit he goes on where he says that like his mother is not English.
Well, all I'm thinking is he could go to India, right?
Yeah.
And if his theories are correct, which of course they're not, but if they are, he'd be accepted as an Indian.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, I can't
Indians
remember
would just say, yeah, you know, you're an Indian.
He claims in school that he was bullied for being, you know, a bit brown.
Oh, fuck off.
And I suppose this is the thing that drove him to be an ardent communist.
Bullied, but I bet he was bullied for being gay, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, that's his story anyway. And they go on to, so they end up producing documents. Why can I share web pages on here? I can, can't I? I can share screen.
You can share anything I can share. So
yeah.
Hang on, let me get rid of this.
Tab to share. That is this one. I don't know if you can see that.
I haven't ever taken StreamYard to his extremes, and so let me see. Yeah, here we go. Yep. I think we can add that.
Yeah. So this is this is produced by Hope Not Hate. You can see it's got Nick Lowe's name on it. This is the original State of Hate report. And it's called the Fear and Hope Report. And they seem to be sort of LARPing as researchers. I actually didn't mind this, to be honest. If I would be a leftist, I would actually be quite proud of producing something like this. Well, that's probably a bit strong, but
yeah, that's a bit strong.
they you know, they have lots of nice bullet points. They go through lots of, there's even a bit in here where they go through quite a lot of data. Yeah, they lay out like the tribes in sort of British politics and the sort of percentages of politics that they take up.
Not very accurately, but
not very accurately, but a lot more accurately than what almost everyone in that sphere, including them themselves, would admit today. Yeah, like I mean, I don't think this is bad stuff really, for a leftist, but it's not exactly very gripping, is it?
No.
Not for your average low info lefty. So of course we eventually get, I mean, anyone who's seen a State of Hate report, we'll go over one in a minute, but anyone who's seen a State of Hate report will know that the State of Hate report does not look like this. The State of Hate report is incredibly sensationalist. It's very editorialized. It has large pictures of the individuals involved. With all these
Adam
sorts
and
of
I
quotes.
hope you're gonna remember I got included in one of these not so long ago.
Do you know which one it was? Because I was trying to look for it.
Quite a few years ago, actually, now that I remember, because AI was pissed off. I was in there, but he wasn't. But anyway. But
yeah,
it was actually, it was a fair few years ago now, but yeah.
There was a I mean, I don't ever mention him that much, but there was a Brutus stream mentioned in one, and it was a particular stream that I was on. So I suppose I was named by association in that as well.
And the sad thing about that is it was with Brutus. Otherwise, you should be proud of it, mate.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, so that this is like their original report. I'll stop sharing this, and then I'll share one of the new ones. I'll get rid of these Nick Lowe's pictures. We don't accidentally bring one of those back up.
No.
Yeah, this one. So yeah, and this is actually, we're jumping forward a little bit. We'll go back, but this is of course when the State of Hate report comes out. And I don't know if they archive these very well on their website. I had to go through the Wayback Machine to find them. This isn't the cover page, but I thought it was a brilliant page to start on. Of course, they're referencing the Christchurch shooter, horrific act.
Yeah.
But you know, they've got these giant full page cover pieces. If we go up, it's, you know, like front cover art. It's you know, they've really gone back to their journalistic roots by this point.
Well, they're normal British mainstream media lefty roots. Yeah, they have.
25 quid a year. You could get like The Islander. You could subscribe to. I mean, I used to subscribe to that. I forget what that magazine was called. There's lots of great There's lots of great right wing magazines that you could get for that. That would be way better, by the way. People, as if I'm not like preaching to the choir here. But yeah, and of course the thing is as well, like in those old like the Searchlight years, they were talking about, you know, Tyndall, right? Nick Griffin, all of those figures. By the time you get to this one, right? By the time we've got to this, the actual State of Hate report, and you can open up till about probably 2024, every State of Hate report kind of was the same. It was all Tommy Robinson. It was Britain First. You know, and there would probably be a traditional Britain group nestled in there somewhere.
I always find and the fact that they go on about Tommy Robinson so funny, because he's totally Israel first. Yeah. This is the thing that I find amusing. Like Tommy would save Israel any time before he'd save Britain, basically. You know, it's very strange to me. And leaving aside the cocaine and all the rest of it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Tommy Robinson thing's always kind of embarrassing because, always kind of sad to me because you just think there's all these good like British people being like who have all these great intentions being like wrapped up in this guy's like cocaine fueled ego trip.
Yeah. Listen, I think many Tommy Robinson supporters are really good blokes and women, but Tommy himself is a con job, and basically he's Israel first, not Britain first. And if you're not Britain first, then I'm sorry, I don't care about you, to be honest.
Yeah. I actually just noticed, because we scrolled over this site and I noticed they brought up transgender, and I thought, did they bring that up in the other report? So I went back to the 2010 report, the one that I just showed. It doesn't mention transgender in that report once. it is weird how that's like an ideological, cultural sort of linchpin for them, that it just entirely just appeared in the last decade.
Well, you
It
got to
just didn't
destroy
exist prior to
men,
that.
Adamant. You have to destroy men, because
Yeah,
women will just go along with the crowd. They always do. But you have to destroy men to destroy people.
Mm.
And so obviously transgender's great, because it means there's no more men if you can get enough people to go along with it.
Yeah. On that note, because someone has as well just brought up UKIPper in chat, and it reminded me that there is
UKIPper's pretty good. I follow him on it.
Yeah, I posted his recent Substack to the chat to the Discord. I know you read it and said you quite liked it.
Yeah, I did.
I
Thought
just
it was
want to
sensible.
open letter. So he actually posted this like last year, and I bookmarked it because I thought it was quite interesting. This is an article on Nick Lowles. So it's actually an article about a Nick Lowles article, and I couldn't get the original Nick Lowles article, and UKIPper couldn't get it either. But essentially, there's this. Now, this is the Institute of Race Relations that this is posted in. Yeah, I think I've shared that right. Yeah, I have. Yeah. So yeah, there's this website called the Institute of Race Relations. I mean, as far as I don't know. I mean, Institute of Race Relations, I assume, is like a government NGO of
yeah, it'll be a quango of some description.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've put that in the share bit at the bottom. If it isn't working, I'll just read it out because it's only a small bit anyway.
No, it's my fault, and I'm having trouble with my mouse at the moment.
Yeah. Do you actually use the touchpad on your laptop, or do you have an actual plug-in mouse?
No, I've got a mouse, but it's a battery mouse, and it's crap.
Yeah.
I do actually have a plug-in mouse, which I may end up replacing this thing.
I've never had a mouse for I'm on my computer, but I've never had a mouse for my laptop, and I've got a Dell, and the touchpad on it is awful.
There you go. That's what
brilliant.
you wanted, I think.
So yeah, so actually, funny enough, this article is them complaining about the Nick Lowles article, because they're basically saying, oh, he's actually giving the far right like a modicum of respectability. But if you read, I mean, it's tiny, so I'll read it out. But if you read the actual the Nick Lowles bit that's in the picture, right? His article, as much of it we can read, it says, late last month, another 9 men of British Pakistani background were charged with sexual offences against young girls in Rochdale. Now, like, this is a bit of an old article, but this is a story we're all too familiar with now. And he continues, coming only a few months later, different 9 men of the same background were convicted for similar offences in Rochdale. The British far right must be rubbing their hands in delight. Yeah, we all love those stories. They don't make us absolutely froth at the mouth in rage every time we have to read another one.
No. I honestly, I love those stories, because all I want to hear is about little British 11-year-old girls being sexually assaulted and degraded, and these people just don't understand anything, do they?
I mean, I know people get the arse at the term projection because they say it's like a bit mid-witted, but this is projection.
It's their projection.
Yeah, they love when they find a story of like a white sexual offender, and they really post about it. But he continues,
and the funny thing is, I've never met anyone on the right who won't cut their balls off too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In fact, we were talking about Tommy Robinson just a second ago, but like Tommy Robinson like they always bring up this thing about how Tommy Robinson's England Defence League was like full of nonsense. Now there's some lefty that's compiled a list of all of these people, and I had a look at it, and I think there's like 130 names on there, but the association with the English, because the English Defence League didn't have members per se, right? It was a totally memberless organization. And so what they say when they say an England Defence League member is they mean anyone who's liked the England Defence League Facebook page or has shared his content on their feed, which is potentially like more than 250,000 people.
Might include quite a lot of Sikhs too, but
yeah, probably. Especially
given
if you did it
Tommy
nowadays.
Robinson, and
I will
and
say,
to say nothing about small hats, but
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, I will say the EDL back then was a lot whiter than the Tommy Robinson movements of today.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit odd, but so anyway, Lols continues. In fact, there's little else they're campaigning on at the moment. Well, yeah, because I mean, as Morgoth has said, like the grooming gang issue in quotes is like British state's Chernobyl. Like it's a failing built upon stacks of other failings. And the thing is that the grooming gang issue is ultimately it sort of stands at the pinnacle of all the criticisms the far right has of modern British and indeed modern Western society. So yeah, of course it's something we campaign about. Like
when you say the far right, of course, Adam, what you really mean is just the right. But yeah,
well, I mean, I do consider myself far right.
I don't.
No?
I think no, I don't. I like the Conservatives are liberals, right?
I mean,
Farage and Reform UK, they're liberals, but I'm actual right. That's the way I look at
but
it.
Like a little more than a third of British people think that at a bare minimum you have to be born in Britain to be British.
Well, I definitely think that, yeah.
Well, yeah, but you would say like
actually,
at a bare
no,
minimum,
you don't.
like you would
no,
say
you
that's
don't.
more.
No, actually, you don't.
Exactly.
You have to have a British father and mother.
So I would say that believing
like
in
Kipling was born in India, but he was British.
So I would say that believing not everyone can rock up and call themselves British is
yeah.
you are in the right at that point.
Oh,
but obviously both of us have positions that go beyond that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have strong criticisms of democracy, and I'm sure you do too. I do think that if I could lay out the British political sphere correctly, I do think I would end up being on the far right. And I just own the label. I don't make no.
Yeah, see, I don't, because the left try and pretend the far right are getting towards fascist, right? And you know what? There were good things about, especially Italian fascists. There were, and I'm not totally against Moustache Man. Some of the things he said were quite sensible.
Yeah,
but I'm not a fascist.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. It's not a British thing. It won't work in Britain, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm just on the right, but the real right. And like the last time the Conservatives were actually real right was like under Lord Salisbury in 1900, you know?
Yeah. And it's like but I mean, part of the reason why this is important, of course, is because like we're both, or I specifically, am laying out the right to left dichotomy as based on the public's position at the given time, whereas Hope Not Hate don't believe that. In fact, Hope Not Hate are almost explicitly an instrument of manufacturing the idea that the left-right dichotomy is explicitly a description from the elite, from the establishment, that they define who is left and right. So But yeah, anyway, to just continue quickly reading this Nick Lowell's bit, because it's only like it's very short anyway. He goes on to say, in fact, there's little else they're campaigning on at the moment, but if we are to prevent the likes of the British National Party, the English Defence League, and the National Front, bearing in mind he's written this he wrote this, I think, in like 2010 or something. So like the National Front are long gone at this point. To be honest, even the English Defence League, they're just at the height of their power when this has been written. He said, the English Defence League and the National Front benefiting from this, then we need to prove to the public that we are concerned about these stories of grooming by both gangs and individuals as well. And it's like, I mean, that just rings like hollow, doesn't it? Like he's just saying, oh, we also have to tell. I don't know if you've ever seen those stand up to racism banners where they say like justice for the victims. It's like, justice from what? Like, you can't admit there was a problem here. Like, yeah, they won't even name the victims.
Didn't all the left-wing feminist women turn around and say that the little British schoolgirl should shut up because they were harming race relations? I'm pretty sure they did.
Well, that was what was her name? The brown Labour MP. So that I always found that weird because people said she posted it. She didn't post it, but what she did was she retweeted what was supposed to be apparently a satire account. But I don't get what the punchline of the joke is supposed to be in that instance. I don't understand it. I don't understand, what they're getting at. But yeah, but it's weird, that one, that sort of line they go after. But yeah, so I mean, I'll stop sharing this now. But yeah, I just thought, yeah, it's like that's like Nick Lowell's whole thing is that he's like, well, we have to convince these people, convince them that we care about these issues too. It's like, if you cared about the issue, there wouldn't be any convincing involved.
They don't care about the issue at all,
Yeah,
they just don't. It's a fucking lie, basically.
But yeah, and it's like, so I mean, Hope Not Hate operate as a company and a charitable trust. They kind of have like two wings, even though it's all the same staff, same, I assume, offices, same everything. And the charitable arm, I should have probably looked that up before the stream, but I was a little short on time. But the government, including the Tories, I think in 2022, I believe they gave them like a grant of like £140,000.
What a surprise!
Yeah, and of course it goes through the charitable arm, and then it gets siphoned to the political arm through like recharges and made up consultancy fees and stuff like that. And then just gets used for overt political activism. And it's like there is an extent to which the Tory party for a long time just had this love of like self-flagellation where they would literally just pay their enemies to lambast them for being racist. I suppose you could rope that into the idea of like the whole Tory boy kink for dominatrix women.
Well, I mean, look at Kemi Badenoch, who's a Nigerian woman. You could also look at Rishi Sunak, who's an Indian man before that. And, people, the Tory boys will tell you, oh, Rishi Sunak was really English. But if you go and listen to Indians, they'll all turn around and celebrate first Indian Prime Minister of Britain.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, how stupid do they think we are, basically?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I should probably talk about this figure as well, just briefly. I mean, we are kind of coming to the end because we're moving into like the very modern era now. Oh, actually, yeah, funny enough, because I was just about to talk about this guy, Harry Schuckman. Now he apparently was at, I believe, I might be getting this mixed up with someone else. He wrote this book, Year of the Rat, and he like infiltrated the far right. And I believe he was the guy behind the doxing of a certain right wing influencer that we both know and have spoken to.
So this guy was the rat, is what you're saying.
I think so. I'm going to get up a picture of him. But I want to get a good picture. All these are rubbish. I think he was the guy. The thing is, I was at that event, I'll be honest, and I don't remember seeing him there. And I have got a pretty good memory for faces, even if I'm horrific with names.
Yeah.
But so he wrote this book, Year of the Rat. I haven't read it. I probably should pick it up and read it at some point.
Well, I'm just thinking, presumably he was the rat.
Yeah.
He was talking about, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, is this dude you're talking about?
Yeah.
He looks a bit like a rat, I've got to say. But
they write a lot of books. This Hope Not Hate lot do now. They write a lot of books, and then they do like a media circus where they go around flogging their books.
One of the things we should point out about these people is that a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, higher up, are former mainstream media journalists in Britain. And the mainstream media journalists in Britain, they're all, at very least, shit libs, basically. And many of them are far more left than that.
So I actually just remembered something when I was bringing up this guy's photo, which was actually about Nick Lowles, because he wrote a book too. He's written a couple of books. One of the books, I think it's called something like Operation Arthur or something like that. And he talks about his work as an anti-fascist activist. And like one of the things when I was looking up about Hope Not Hate was there's actually quite a few like left-wing dissidents who also hate Hope Not Hate, but from the other side. And
well, there is a Zionist bit in there.
Yes.
Isn't there?
Yeah, there's hatred for that. There's also they accuse Hope Not Hate of containing genuine left-wing dissident movements on behalf of MI5 and the British state.
Would never surprise me. I mean,
no.
Are we not correct in saying there's at least 2 or 3 high up Hope Not Hate people in Andy Burnham's government?
Yes. I don't think we've actually got enough time to go into some of the other splinter groups, but yeah, there's a group called
we've got enough time we've got the time that you want to spend on it.
Well, I did originally think to myself my hard stop was 10:30, but we're going, so we're going to keep going.
Yeah. So if you want to go longer, Alman, I'll go as long as you want, mate, because I think this is an interesting subject, and Hope Not Hate are one of the worst extreme left-wing anti-British organizations in Britain.
Well, so here's the thing. So I don't know if this is true. It's a hard thing to get evidence on. But a lot of these people, these lefties who are critiquing Hope Not Hate from the left, claim this is true, and they do seem to present that there is some evidence for it. They think that Nick Lowles and Hope Not Hate, and this is their accusation. I'm absolutely not saying this because I don't want to get caught up in a genuine libel case. They think
the accusation is allegedly.
Yeah, the accusation is allegedly that Nick Lowles was aware of the third bomb target of the Soho nail bomber, which was the bomb that killed 3 people, I believe.
Long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yes.
But in that sort of 90s era when we were talking about when
allegedly
Hope Not Hate was being put together.
Adamant,
Yeah,
as you
allegedly.
said, allegedly. But would I believe that a left-wing asshole would not say anything about that? Yeah, absolutely. I'd believe
one of
that.
my
allegedly, of course, allegedly.
One of my first introductions to Hope Not Hate was actually when I was starting to get into some right-wing politics. This was a long time ago. I can't remember what social media platform we were on, but I remember there being a channel on there, and they posted about this case of a British guy who had mental health problems, and a Hope Not Hate researcher had basically been trying to entrap him and try to get him to commit an attack on one of his local councillors. And they actually had like full evidence of this, like genuinely good evidence. And people were in there were raging that they'd been trying to get hold of their local police to do something about this, and the police just would not press charges against these people. So it is an odd organization. Like it just looks like another shitty NGO, but it does seem to have.
It's a quango that's funded very largely by taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
Right? Loads of British taxpayers' money goes into it. They're all extreme left-wingers, as I hope everyone who has watched this stream now knows. The founders were all full-on communists, basically. Like they may have pretended to be in the Labour Party, but they were full-on commies.
Yeah.
They're a vile organization. If you like people like I do, like Morgoth, for example, Morgoth was absolutely doxxed by Hope Not Hate, who sent people around to places where he used to live, pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Asking like, oh, who was he? What did he do? Where did he work? Blah, 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 blah. Like a full-on doxing organization. Vile scum, basically. And for reasons best known to himself, Nigel Farage, when he ran UKIP, had these guys doing his vetting for their potential candidates and stuff. And that carried on. I think Millennial Woes, though, for Sheffield, I think Millennial Woes was also doxed by Hope Not Hate guys. I think so.
I think that was the Daily Record, but I didn't look into it. Could well have been
I think they might have had a bit of help from Hope Not Hate, to be honest. But yeah, these are scumbags, basically, guys.
I mean, I won't bring up the. We'll bring it into the present day now. There is a lot of stuff we could go into on this, but you'd need like a 10-part series on these guys.
Yes.
Yeah, but like you were saying about like the MI5 angle and like, I mean, that Matt Collins we were looking at a little while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, he went into some sort of like witness protection program when he became a paid informant. And so it's like, where did that come from? Like just out of thin air. Like they weren't prosecuting people. He was just a paid informant for some quango. It was very weird, but
way of paying him loads of money.
Yeah.
For informing on people for the British state, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, bear in mind the British intelligence services used to use these things back in the day for like the British intelligence completely penetrated the provisional IRA, right? Yeah. And some of these guys would like get moved to Australia or America or wherever, you know, and they would get paid money. But the thing is, once you start doing that, you can then get people like this CUNT, and it's just a way of giving him money.
Yeah. Well, that Matt Collins
for
was
being a scumbag.
Abroad. I think he did actually live in Australia for a while.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it was common. There's loads of ex-Pyro guys who became British informers who got moved to Australia. Loads of them. British government, Australian government, all agreed to it. It was all a done deal, you know. But yeah, but this is like, in terms of these people, in a way, I don't mind Pyro informers because these people used to kill men, women, and children, you know, to say nothing of like horses and what have you. Anything they wanted to do, they would just do complete terrorist outrages that were at least as bad as anything the Muslims do. But so those guys, yeah, all right. If you're gonna like help us kill these people, fine. But Hope Not Hate don't do that. What Hope Not Hate do is they dox ordinary British people who are just on the right rather than on the left. They're scum. They're utter scum.
I'd actually like to go into this Harry Shuckman thing more, but I think maybe I should pick up his book, go through it, and then I don't know. Maybe if you'd be interested, we could do a stream on that at some point. But
Mate, we can do another stream on this anytime you want, Ammon.
Yeah,
I am very happy to bring up the British state's involvement with these very left-wing communist organizations that are somehow masquerading as being British, when in fact they just hate everyone who's really British.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, Woodpit in the chat said the left is much better at patronage than the right. I think the left is shameless enough.
Well, they got a lot more money, and the government and the civil service and the security services are all left wing.
We do have the world's richest man on our side, though. Like,
well,
we should be better.
But
We
he's
should
one
be better
bloke,
at this stuff.
one,
he is,
one guy, you know?
Yeah, but it's just. I think the left is quite shameless in that they really do believe. They almost gaslight themselves into believing their own horseshit a lot of the time, whereas the right, and I'm really guilty of this myself. We all kind of sit around and we kind of snigger and poke fun at our own talking points.
See, I don't. Yeah, I know. Look, I'm watching this giant self-immolation purity spiral because Rupert Lowe offered Nigel Farage a deal. And, you know, the sensible thing would be Farage to say yes, but that won't happen because it's the right, you know.
Yeah.
Just too sensible to do that. Can't look at our country first and go, you know what, Farage, Rupert Lowe, no one's asking them to merge. It's just a deal so they don't run against each other. I reckon that'd be a good plan. I really do. I think most people on the right think that would be a good plan. But no. We'll argue about it and talk about it and say how no one can possibly do it. Because I don't know why, because it just makes me angry, to be honest with you. I'm not a big Nigel Farage fan. I certainly don't support most reform policies. But if they adopted Rupert Lowe's policies, I'd say, yeah, all right, let's do a deal where, you know, reform runs in 75 or 80% of seats and Restore runs in the other 20%. Great. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
To me, that would be the sensible way of doing things, you know? Right. This is the next thing you gave us.
Yeah, this is kind of taking us up right up into the modern era, making our history stream actually rather topical. Sorry, I've actually got an extra wide monitor, so it makes the share screens look kind of odd.
That's all right. That's all right.
If I size it up, I don't know if that makes it better. A little bit. So they had a piece on Anne Widdecombe. This is a few years ago now. This is essentially, I mean, we saw a more modern iteration of a state of health.
And just for anyone who doesn't recall, because it's been memory holed by the mainstream media, Anne Widdecombe, 78-year-old little old lady who didn't believe in gay marriage or trans things for children, hit over the head about 28, 29 times with a hammer by a leftist and murdered. Like a vile, cowardly bastard, basically.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it like on the spur of the moment. He drove almost 300 miles to do it, 300 miles to get back. So like an 8-9 hour trip.
And the thing is, from Rotherham. He was from Rotherham or Rochdale. I think it was Rotherham.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, Nick Lowell's had that piece where he was saying that we have to prove that we care about this stuff as much as them, and yet their acolytes don't stay in Rotherham and go and, you know, imprison them, you know, basically indict themselves by, you know, murking a nonce up there. They travel all the way to the village of Hayter in the southwest. Beautiful village name, love that. But so yeah,
kill a little 78-year-old old lady who
Yeah.
I'm sure has never done any harm to anyone in her life.
Well, this is the thing as well. Like, this is the article, right? Like we saw with those other pieces that we looked at, that's too small. They produce these essentially like hit pieces now, so they're all very characterful. We'll look at the latest. Well, the last thing we'll look at is the latest State of Hate report, and it's just all of their wrong thing, you know. She claimed in 1999 that I don't think that homosexuality could be promoted as an equally valid lifestyle to marriage, but I would say the same about irregular heterosexual arrangements. I mean, this is the thing. They go, like, you get all these people were actually talking about this in the office, and one of the ladies there was like, oh, you can tell when these people sit on the news. I was actually quite proud of my colleagues when they said this. They're like, you can tell when these people are on the news and they say, oh, I don't think she should have been killed, but she said this, that, and the other. And they're like, why do they feel the need to say that? Like, you know, this poor old lady was murdered. Like, just talk about that. But of course, they actually have to signal to their other left wingers that they are in with the cause. And it's just like, and then they always say, oh, you know, they had these horrible statements. And then you read it and it's like, oh, it's just like the most milquetoast, like no bumming in front of the horses, like conservatism. it's really mundane stuff. You know, and it's just pages and pages and pages of this stuff. Quotes on sexism. In 2012, Anne Widdecombe wrote in the Radio Times that binge drinkers should be publicly named and shamed by being arrested and having their pictures published in the newspaper. I mean, the thing is, in the early 2010s, binge drinking was actually considered a big thing. I think in some ways the state came down on it too hard, and now we've got no nightlife at all. But it was a genuine, like, what people regarded it as a genuine social ill. Yeah, and it just goes on, and it's just, and they, of course, you know, people can see. I've got this on the Wayback Machine. This article, you can't find it on their website now. It's gone. As soon as she was murdered, they took it down.
Yeah, within 24 hours, I think.
Yeah. As if she'd been struck off the list, you know.
Yeah, because basically, what is this article doing? I mean, it's saying to moronic, evil lefties, this woman shouldn't be alive.
I mean, look, one of these claims here. She went on a radio broadcast affiliated with David Icke. Ooh,
wow.
You know,
terrible.
But this is the thing, that if you ask them, they get all smug and they're like, we're not actually saying anything. We're just quoting her. And it's like, yeah, you're quoting her to a bunch of like low info, sycophantic, deranged lunatics who are meant to read into this a certain way.
Adam, and the truth of it is that articles like this are very, very similar to the sort of article that lefties like Antifa were publishing in the USA about Charlie Kirk. It's very much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, actually, what I was going to bring up before we went in to read this article, I wasn't going to bring up the article about Morgoth because he's been doxxed, but I don't like the idea of like displaying.
Yeah, no, I don't want to give any details about that.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that, you know, the Hope Not Hate scumbags were going around asking his neighbors stuff and lying about who they were, basically.
But worst of all, and I'll reveal this only because he himself has talked about this as well on his Substack. They've likened, they imply that he inspired Dylan Roof, the Dylan Roof shooting, the like extremist church shooting in America.
Which is utter bollocks.
I mean, that's really beyond the pale.
It's ridiculous, Adam. Like, Morgoth only really talks about British issues for the most part. Like, he'll occasionally bring something in from the other side of the Atlantic, but not very often. And he certainly never talks about specific individuals in any great detail. And also, I've never heard Morgoth advocate any sort of violence to anybody. Never have. I like one of my favorite Morgoth videos. He's talking about an ancient English oak tree, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that Morgoth's been on my stream quite a few times. But he's a good bloke, and he doesn't advocate violence against anybody, not even some people who deserve it.
Loafer Sheffield on the chat said, Hope Not Hate were also involved in attempting to discredit Tommy Rubenstein. Lucy Brown helped out even at that point. Yeah, Tommy Robinson made a documentary about this, which I think you can watch. I don't like it because he does the whole bit where he's like banging on about how great he is for like half of it. But he does like a lot of humble bragging, but it's still worth a watch. They really catch them out. It's quite funny.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. And wasn't that around the whole time when the two gay cameramen were involved and Lucy Brown? Oh God almighty, the whole thing is so fucking crass. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Lucy Brown was pretty cute, but that was about all I would say. But yeah, anyway. What's this?
Yeah, we'll go over this. This is the latest Hope Not Hate report, the State of Hate report. We'll just go through this.
Look, that's Nigel Farage.
Horrific violent extremists. But like, bearing in mind, like, to go back again, right, Matthew Collins was convinced to basically go and sign up and help groups like this because he went, apparently, he obviously didn't do this, but he apparently went into a library and helped beat up women with a hammer.
Which is bollocks, but yeah.
None of the people on this cover have ever done anything even remotely like that.
But nor did that guy. But
no, he didn't. Yes. But that's his story. That's what he claims. He claims that
if a load of women had been beaten up in a library in Britain, we'd be able to find it on the internet. Yes. I guarantee it to you. It never happened.
As I said, I went through the undercover policing inquiry website. It's quite an interesting page. They do actually have there's like a paper on there specifically about that was released only in 2024, and it's specifically about the anti-BNP demonstration in Welling, the one that he seems to be referencing. And I went through there, and there's no mention of an attack in a library or anything like that.
And it would have made headlines out of them.
Yeah, it would have, absolutely.
True. If someone is saying Lucy Brown tried to stitch up woes,
she's not a good character.
I don't follow Lucy Brown. Okay, all I know is that at one stage she was one of those orbiters around Israel First, Tommy Robinson, and his gay cameraman and his gay whatever the other guy was, but and loads of cocaine. I remember that.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, they've got this page here. Prove him wrong. Join. I thought, I was really, really hoping from like 2024 to 2025 that we were going to see the end of Hope Not Hate. They seem to be struggling for money. They were sort of not really producing a great deal.
They're in the British government now, man.
Yeah, I kind of figured that because their utility had kind of been spent, because like no one shows up to their demos anymore. If you go on their Instagram page, which seems to be where they get most of their engagement, it's pathetic. But then the National Lottery Trust came in, I think, late last year or early this year and gave them £1 million. So that should keep them coming for like a year at least.
Why? And that had nothing to do with the British government, did it? No.
Yeah, I know, it's mad.
You know, Adam, there are British warships that fought in the Falklands War, HMS Plymouth, I'm thinking of. You remember that picture I put in the Discord of her past all those vile wind turbines?
Mm.
And as you rightly said, war-tested steel going to the breakers. She couldn't get any money from the British Lottery Fund.
No.
Because, you know, that was actually pro-British.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
just want to
hate
go back.
all of this. I hate all of this stuff, mate. And Nigel Farage, you know, oh, don't support Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage is the most milquetoast guy there is on the right.
Yeah.
He really is. He's totally milquetoast.
I'm just skipping back just for a couple of previous Hope Not Hate reports, because I wanted to see if that guy, Leron Velleman, I think his name was, appears in any of the previous reports. He was the guy that was done for being a nonce in Hope Not Hate, but he's not. He doesn't. I don't think he works on these reports. Yeah, again, right. I mean, we looked at that other one, and I said, did you notice how, from their previous more researched reports to these new ones, how it just becomes Farage, Tommy Robinson, so on and so forth. That first State of Hate report was 6 years ago, and this one, it's just the same. It's exactly the same.
But I mean, the other thing, Ammon, right, is if you take 100 lefties, there's a good chance 25 of them will be nonsense.
Yeah.
And another 10 will be trans. Very good chance of it. And some of those will be the same, you know?
Yeah. Oh, look, they featured the meme. I mean, as the Americans have proven, you can fire an AR-15 into a random crowd of leftists and you'll hit wife beaters and pedos.
Yep, absolutely true. You just will, because leftists, basically. But yeah, I can't say enough bad about Hope Not Hate. I think they should all go to prison just for being in that organization, but that's just me.
Yeah. I will just quickly say as well, there's just a little bit on this page where it says they're going through, the far right achieves this by, and then they've got a set of bullet points. And one of them says it's just a joke trap. They are right. That is a trap, right? And they say they use edgy, ironic humor to slip the politics into people's feeds. It starts as just a bit of fun, but quickly turns into a serious obsession with identity and race. I know guys who make what would be like right coded memes, but they themselves are kind of like turbo normies with a good sense of humor. And to them, it is literally just a joke. But it is a trap. The left are right. It is a trap because they have to keep their boot on our necks. Otherwise, we take over any given space, like Twitter. Like, look at Twitter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, by bringing that boot down, they also actually radicalize people who are otherwise just kind of into edgy humor, but never really explore anything in any sort of intrinsic way.
See, the thing is, I think race is like a real thing because probably because I lived in South Africa for 15 years. I've lived in Australia for 26 years, and race is a big deal in Australia. You know, ask any Australian nationalist what's going on with Aboriginals in Australia, who are about, I don't know, 2% of the population, maybe. And in South Africa, just go and ask any white South African what's happening over there. Race is a big deal for everybody else. And in Israel, race is a big deal because Israel actually has a constitution which makes Israel stay mainly Jewish. It's good for everybody except white Western nations.
Yeah.
We're the only people not allowed to use that. The Maori are indigenous to New Zealand, and they arrived there at very earliest, probably 1400s. Okay, so about the time of Agincourt, at the earliest. But they're indigenous. The Anglo-Saxons arrived in England in the 600s or 700s, but we're not indigenous somehow. It's the con is so obvious, you know. The only people who can't have a homeland and their own place that they can keep other people out of are white European people.
Yeah.
And when I say European, I include, like, you know, Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, and white South Africans. But you're not allowed to do that if you're white. Every other race can, including the Israelis. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, someone, I think a little bit further up, brought up about, because I believe Charlie Downs went on Talk TV the other day. I haven't watched the clip yet.
Is that the video with that woman who used to be known for her big tits?
Maybe. I don't know. Must be.
I think it is. I think it is. Julia Hartley Brewer. Is that who?
But see, this is the thing. They're talking about Talk TV as right-wing media. They keep including it in their right-wing media sphere alongside the Spectator. Yeah. GB News. I mean, GB News did make the Grooming Gang report, which is the Grooming Gang documentary, which is pretty good. But they are also, like, they've got lots of diversity hires on there and stuff like that. The Telegraph is pretty based nowadays. I'll give them that. Daily Mail, seriously. Apparently, it's published opinion pieces by Charlie Downs. I haven't seen any of those.
Back in the day, Armin, Julia Hartley Brewer was known as a right-wing chick with big tits, basically, who wore low-cut dresses. She's got too old in the tooth now to do it, but that's what really, like, made her quite well known. And she's arguing, you know, being British is queuing and believing in democracy and thinking gays are the same as everyone else. And as Charlie Downs said, it's just a lie, basically.
Yeah.
None of that makes you British. And as someone said, and I can relate to this, on that basis, the Japanese Prime Minister is British then. You know?
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's crap. To be British, you've got to be Anglo-Celtic. And you know, your father and mother and grandmother and grandfather have got to be born in Britain. That's what makes you British. And you've also got to be white, Northern European. I'm sorry. This is it. This should not even be it shouldn't be controversial. Like, it wouldn't be controversial if we were Indians. You know, if you and I were Indians and we were talking about, well, what makes you Indian? You know, wouldn't be controversial at all. If we were Nigerians, like Suella Braverman, for example, it wouldn't be controversial. But because you're a white English and British person, it's controversial somehow. It's nonsense, you know. Britain, the only homeland of the real British people is the British Isles. And yeah, I'll fight to hang on to the Falklands and Gibraltar and all the rest of it. Absolutely, I will. But our homeland is Britain. And if we don't have that, then we have nothing. And we're going to go extinct.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's not acceptable.
It's getting very late here, so if we just finish up on this one last image that I've put down there, because I just got reminded of this because of this polling at the back end of the State of Hate report. So
There you go, mate.
this is a poll conducted by Hope Not Hate. This was a few years ago now, and they said it has been suggested that white British people could be a minority in the UK by 2060s, by the 2060s, due to current immigration patterns.
Definitely
If this does
will be,
happen,
but yeah.
if this does happen, which one or two of the following words would describe how it makes you feel? I don't really know what they were trying to achieve with this poll, because an overwhelming majority of people said it made them feel uneasy, unhappy, and disappointed.
Did they ask what would happen if you did that same poll in Israel? Bet they didn't.
No.
No.
They break it down by Remain and Leave voters, which I find funny. I kind of think the left tells on themselves when they do this.
Yes, me too.
But yeah, like I don't like, they did this there was a bit they did. It was like an anniversary piece on the Rivers of Blood speech. And so I don't quite know why that. I suppose they were just trying to get public opinion from there to now, but they didn't have anything to go on then. But to be honest, I mean, if you were to look at this, you would just say that this is basically the same as the opinions of people in the late 60s when he gave that speech.
But it's, uneasy is not the right word. Devastated would be the right word.
Yeah, but these are the most extreme words that they present. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, 1 to 2% of people also said pleased and happy. So
well, yeah, how many of those were white, I wonder, because they don't tell you that, do they?
No.
They
broke it down based on Brexit vote, but they didn't break it down based on race or ethnicity.
No, I thought not. Yeah, funny that, isn't it? Look, Hope Not Hate are a vile anti-British organisation, and anyone who supports them is a traitor, as far as I'm concerned. But
huge amount of their staff are like second and third generation immigrants. That's something I came across when I was going through the names.
It's a bit like the British Civil Service,
Yeah, yes. And it's like, yeah. I mean, we'll have to call it there, I think, because it is getting very late. But there's so much that we haven't covered. This, one of the things that when I was looking up that a lot of people used to say, they used to sort of cop out early, and they used to go, "Oh, there's some criticisms you can make, not Hope Not Hate, but of course, 99% of their coverage is still accurate." And it's like,
let's Adamant, let's do a part 2 when you're ready to do it. It doesn't have to be next week, but well, next week we're going to be doing Sir Francis Drake again. But when you're ready, let's do a part 2, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to cover. I'll get that Year of the Rat and read that and go through that. But yeah, there's like they did a whole report on the basket weavers. I mean, really, that needs to be talked about. I think
perfectly
the island
normal organization, which is just trying to get people to go and have a beer with friends and stuff. It's no big deal.
Yeah, but awful, needs to be destroyed. And it's like, I mean, I still can't get over that Matthew Collins character. Like, the more I dug, I kind of did get into a bit of a rabbit hole on that one, but the more I dug, just the more ridiculous it came across.
Well, like I said, when you're ready to do it, let me know and we'll do part 2. Because this was interesting. I certainly learned some stuff I didn't know. And they are truly a vile organization. And just once again, several prominent members of this vile quango are in Andy Burnham's government. So
yes,
there you go.
We'll need to cover that group as well. That guy's splinter group, the 38 Degrees, because that sort of comes in the early 2010s, and they've got their own sort of like sordid history as well.
For sure. Guys, we'll be back on Saturday for our normal Splendid Isolation stream, where we will be talking about whatever is going on in the world at the moment. Please do like the stream. It's always useful. helps the algorithm. And you can also subscribe. And in addition, if you look in the pinned comments down at the bottom of the chat, you can support this channel for a whole $5 a month. Won't break you, but there you go. All right, guys. Thank you very much to Ammon. I learned quite a lot about Hope Not Hate this evening, mate, so that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
And none of it was good, but then I
No.
didn't think any of it would be. I didn't think any of it would be either. So, you know. But yeah, take care, guys, and we'll see you again on Saturday. Don't let the bastards grind you down.
Yeah, good night, everyone.